My brief tonight: can America lead the world by remote control? The Obama administration's drone policy is decapitating al-Qaeda. Just this week, another key figure, Abu Yahya al-Libi, was taken out. And now we learn much more about America's cyber war with Iran, targeting its nuclear program and codenamed Olympic Games. The details of the Obama doctrine are coming out less than 6 months before the American presidential election. And that's why many here in the United States believe the White House is orchestrating these stories. My guest, David Sanger, author of Confront and Conceal, the new book on President Obama's foreign policy that has sparked a huge amount of interest and some controversy. Welcome, David.
Great to be back here with you.
Good to see you again. What was the most surprising thing you learned when you were researching for this book?
I think that there were two big surprises about President Obama as Commander-in-Chief. Many who worked for him, many who were career diplomats or career military, tell me they were surprised at his aggressiveness, that they had not expected this from somebody who had very little foreign policy experience, who was frequently derided during the 2008 campaign as a former community organizer, which was sort of code word for, is this person ready to be commander-in-chief? What emerged was an Obama doctrine. And the doctrine that has come out of this is that he's very willing to use unilateral force when the direct interests of the United States are at stake. Think of the bin Laden raid and so forth.
Exactly, and all these drone strikes beyond bin Laden, and also what you focused on, and really which is the big controversy of the book, and that's the cyber war against Iran. In other words, as some are saying, the United States is at war with Iran. How effective is this cyber war?
Well, the main revelation that you're referring to concerns Olympic Games, which you mentioned at the beginning, which was a 4-year-long program, we believe continues to this day, begun in the Bush administration, handed off to President Obama in a quiet meeting between him and President Bush just days before the inauguration in 2009, when President Bush said, look, there are 2 programs you're going to want to hold on to. One of them is drones, the other is Olympic Games. Olympic Games is an effort to get into the Iranian centrifuge system with a computer worm that was a very elaborate effort to get through the defenses the Iranians had built up, and then to go map a blueprint of how the computers inside Natanz connect to the centrifuges, send in a worm that would speed up or slow down those centrifuges until they began to blow up.
And effect enrichment.
That effect enrichment by taking out the centrifuges.
Is it still happening?
You know, it's very hard to know what is happening today. Once it became obvious to the Iranians, and it took them a few years to catch on to what was going on, presumably they put in some pretty good defenses. But, you know, cyber war, like all war, evolves, and there are new approaches the United States and Israel, who work together very closely on this, are no doubt using today.
Do you think cyber war is an alternative, a replacement for real war? I mean, I don't ask that in a vacuum. People think maybe Israel will bomb Iran's facilities.
You know, one of the big objectives of Olympic Games for the Americans was to so wrap the Israelis into the process that they would become convinced that there was a more effective and deniable way to affect the enrichment at Natanz and would make bombing it unnecessary. And in fact, some argue that the CIA estimates are that this set back the Iranians 18 months to 2 years. Some believe that's over-optimistic. But in any case, when you think, Christiane, about what you and I have talked about, what the estimates are of what a military strike could accomplish, 18 months to 2 years is about the number you hear.
You said deniable. And you know, there are certainly people who are pretty angry that this information has been leaked and that you've got it and it's in the Times and it's in your book. They're saying that this puts American operations and American lives at risk. And you know, Senator McCain has called for a special counsel. The FBI is already looking into it. You were leaked to?
This was an 18-month-long investigation for a book that started, you know, at the ground level up and built its way up. But what was the major disclosure here? It wasn't anything that anybody said to anyone. It was the error in 2010, in the summer, that allowed the virus, the worm that later became known as Stuxnet, to escape from the Natanz plant and propagate out across the internet. the United States and the Israelis had not planned on that happening. That was a programming mistake. It made the worm evident to the whole wide world.